They called it joy, the way I danced beneath the stars. They saw the gold in my robe, not the weight stitched into every thread. They heard my name echo through marble halls and glowing lights. Date, but they never saw how I flinched when silence sat beside me. My words sparkled like a feast. My my smiles rose like the moon, dainty, but inside I carried a cry that dared not speak aloud. I was their prince, the one who must not break. But poetry became my sanctuary, the only place I could bleed without question. Do you know the sorrow? Dot of clapping hands that hide a trembling pulse, of celebration that feels like exile. They from your own aching chest, they sang for me. Date songs stitched with praise, I as if my soul were a trophy. Then not a bruise wrapped in silk. I learned to laugh. D with lips that had kissed grief in secret. GI became fluent in the language, life of silent endurance. And each poem I wrote buried a wound within it, D like a flower planted in dry desert soil. Dot hoping someone would water it. D with understanding. My verses are riddles, not because I fear clarity, but because I fear pity. So I paint joy in public, and cry in metaphors. They applaud when I say love is eternal. But do they hear the tremor in the ink? The way the pen stutters when I write her name? She was a whisper I lost in a roar. She was the sea I could not hold. The end. So I built castles in the sand, death smiling, while the tide came for everything I hid. At night, I remove my crown. The end. I become a boy again, barefoot in memory, die bleeding in silence. No stage, no camera, no obligation to pretend. There, beneath the emptiness, dot my poems weep in full. They say, this is the prince's truth. He was celebrated, but he was alone. And in that loneliness, he wrote of roses. They. So no one would see the thorns in his breath. The garden of my words is lush. But each flower grew from sorrow. Each bloom carries the scent of something I dared not say aloud. When they praise my lines, I bow with grace. But I wonder that if they knew where the poem truly came from, would they still smile? Do they not see the grief? Does grandeur? My poetry is not just a crown. It's a confession. And every time they cheer, I mourn silently. For the boy who never got to cry. Then the sunlight. I have become the mask they needed, joyful, brave, untouchable. But behind the verses, I still remember the look in her eyes. That when she said goodbye. The line I wrote that night. The wa was never read aloud. She left like dusk, slowly. But once she was gone, nothing felt warm again. And so I wrote of stars, so they wouldn't ask why my skies were always cloudy. They crowned me in gold, draped me in robes, kissed by light. The end, whispered, you are the joy of the people. I smiled not for joy, but to hide the ache, nestled just beneath my ribs. There's a kind of sorrow that learns how to grin, sayu, how to wear elegance, like armor forged from wounds. Every festival lit the sky, died but darkened my soul a little more. The fireworks they adored too felt like explosions inside me. Memories set ablaze. People saw colors. I saw fragments. They saw celebration. I saw shadows of what I had lost. And when they handed me flowers, I smiled. But a poet can smell grief, even in rose petals. She once told me, "You carry light so others can see, but who carries the dark for you?" I had no answer. Die, just a notebook. The just lines that bled, they from a heart too full, too hollow. In every banquet, Taz, laughter spilled like wine. My verses sat quietly, sat at the edge of the table, stayed watching me pretend. To celebrate is to remember, GA, what could have been different. Every echo of music reminded me of a silence that used to hum her name. She was the quiet between songs, the space between stars, and yet I raised a toast, danced, wrote verses that smiled, but each rhyme bent slightly, the under the weight of a hidden name. They never noticed that the happiest poem I ever wrote, day, was written on the night I cried